the beach house held a million promises of summer.
It's kind of bad, but I still love it. I've heard that phrase a lot when it comes to people talking about this particular series starring our girl Belly, stuck in a love triangle with Fisher brothers Conrad and Jeremiah.
Wow, guys, stop fighting over me.
I have to admit, when I first saw the show kicking around in 2022-2023 with the first 2 seasons, it seemed a little unremarkable. I say this as a fan of the show now, but some of those early seasons were a little awkward.
I'm so shy. Yeah.
However, there is something about those early seasons, hell, even the whole show, that makes me feel like I'm watching with rose-tinted glasses. Nostalgic for something that I never had. A complete fantasy, without the magical or supernatural elements, but a fantasy all the same. Now, I don't mean that as a dig at all. I think that might be why the show seems to trigger this immediate defense of it's so bad, but I love it, because it feels so unrealistic. But I actually think that's exactly what makes it so good. Yes, it's a fantasy, and I, for one, fucking love fantasy. Sure, The Summer I Turned Pretty looks like your average YA romantic drama, but it's so much better when you think of it as a fantasy romance set in the real world, with all the tropes and drama and escapism that you normally reserve for fantasy over straight fiction. And especially considering the surge in popularity of romantasy in recent years, I think that's why this 3rd and final season of The Summer I Turned Pretty kind of broke containment, flooded my social media feeds, and converted me from a reluctant viewer to an official fan.
Well, it's too late. And the fact that you're saying this now is fucked.
I know. Hear me out. Let me talk for a minute.
So one of the factors attributed to the popularity of romantasy is how a fantasy setting can allow for a kind of romance that may not fly in the real world. This quote from The Guardian says, "It has all the tropes we adore, but set in a world they can escape to and get lost in." Belly says it herself in season 2, ep 3, where she's describing how Susanna feels about the summer house. Adding to that, one of the telltale narrative arcs that people love in fantasy stories is the sense of world-ending stakes. If you think about the summer house as this otherworldly fantasy setting for The Summer I Turned Pretty, then the whole season 2 arc of the house almost being sold makes perfect sense as this world-ending complication. The whole series really just fits into the fantasy genre so perfectly, to the point where criticisms of the show as too dramatic or unrealistic or a self-insert wish fulfillment fantasy are kind of rendered moot because a perfect summer holiday to be. Belly is finding her footing in this privileged upper-class lifestyle while still being this relatable, down-to-earth girl surrounded by people who love her for who she really is, all while carving out this identity for herself. It all felt a little indulgent and idealistic, but I still liked it. Season 1 really set up the fantasy of the summer house with the debutante ball and local characters to flesh out the world and our messy trio. Season 2 threatened its existence with the potential sale of the house and a villain that was making it all happen. The way that the show expanded out into the real world in season 3 with the time skip and Conrad across the country and Belly in Paris paradoxically felt like the perfect way to remind audiences that in this fantasy realm, the actual real world is the summer house. All of these major romantic plot developments happen back in the summer house. Yes, Paris and Stanford and wherever the hell Finch is meant to signal that this story is set in a world that resembles ours. But it's kind of not. It may as well be set in Basgiath or the Night Court or Middle-earth. Basgiath. Is that how you say it? I've only read it. Basgiath? The school in Forthwing? Once I fully appreciated what this story was as a fantasy romance set in a simulation of the real world, that's when things really clicked.
Yeah. Can you help me out?
There are countless reasons why romantasy has become such a cultural phenomenon in recent years. All the dramatic tropes that have become familiar plot devices, the embracing of messy female heroines, just a pinch of admittedly toxic relationship vibes, and an incredible fan community that ties it all together. The Summer I Turned Pretty has all these things in spades and is a huge reason why I ended up as a fan of the show. Throughout my journey as a complete outsider with no skin in the game to a full-on Belly Conrad truther. I've seen the perspectives of outsiders like me being a little perplexed but intrigued by the buzz of the show. I remember noticing the way that fans talked about the characters in this show felt more akin to the language I was more used to seeing in the fantasy space. The whole invisible string connecting Belly and Conrad made their relationship feel much more like this ethereal, written in the stars romance rather than your average YA situation. All the frenzied excitement over the Conrad and Jeremiah POV episodes felt very much like when fantasy books switch perspectives. And let me tell you, I eat that shit up. Like those chapters where you realize Xaden is so much more into Violet than we knew in Fourth Wing. Absolute cinema. Speaking of classic fantasy, you can't get any more classic than a good old love triangle. Team Edward or Team Jacob, Team Stefan or Damon, Team Peter or else. A good love triangle is my Super Bowl, okay? 2 men enter, only 1 leaves. That's not the Super Bowl though, that's like the octagon. Whatever. Something about ruthlessly pitting 2 distinct characters, ideally a brooding mystery man and a sunshine best friend, against each other with an indecisive female lead who can do no wrong, even though she actually does many things wrong. It's pure fantasy and it's magnificent. Now, the heroine in my favorite fantasy stories can really range from fiery baddie to ultimate sweetheart angel, and I will love her no matter what. I would definitely characterize Belly towards the sweetheart side of the spectrum, although season 3, she's a bit baddie. But wherever they sit, the most consistent part for me is no matter what they do, I support it. It's their world and we're all just living in it. I definitely tend to prefer when they're like aware of their power rather than the whole they don't know how beautiful they are kind of thing, which is why season 3 Belly really grew on me. I love when Bella finally became a vampire and accepted that she was hot. When Violet bonded with who she bonded with and finally like realized how strong she was. I love Shallan in Brandon Sanderson's The Stormlight Archives, Daenerys in Game of Thrones, Katniss and Lucy Gray in The Hunger Games. I also love when the other characters openly adore our main girlies, as they should, because they are smart and sassy and capable and they deserve the world. Which is why I've loved watching Belly navigate her way through her fantasy romance with Conrad. Even when she makes decisions that maybe aren't the best, it's all part of her journey.
So you want to be with Jeremiah now?
Connor,
Or are you just doing this to get my attention?
are you serious? This is not about you.
What really truly won me over with this series were the fans. Like I said, when the series first aired in 2022, it seemed fun and lighthearted, but it also looked a little unremarkable. A love triangle in summer? Groundbreaking. Then season 3 attacked and everything changed. Aided by that 4-year time skip between seasons, suddenly the character seemed a little less silly and a little more real. And by real, I mean messy as fuck. Sure, they were messy as teenagers, a genre which also has its own invaluable grip on pop culture, rip Gossip Girl. But there was something about that idyllic summer aesthetic that didn't feel interesting enough at the time to get me emotionally invested. Until season 3, Conrad Fisher. I knew enough about the show to know that our main girl Belly was struggling to choose between Conrad and Jeremiah. I also knew that Conrad was a fan fave because, duh. Still, I didn't find either brother interesting enough to want to know why Belly was struggling to choose between the two of them. But it was that damn confession at the beach and then the one at Belly and Jer's wedding that got me good.
You're only saying this because I'm marrying Jeremiah. That's why you're saying this all of a sudden.
No, it's not all of a sudden, Belly. Don't you realize that? It's always.
Suddenly, I was no longer nonchalant about this show. I was chalant. And so here I am. And yes, while the show's romantic fantasy elements are a big reason why I love it, it was the fans that did most of the legwork. All the color theory of when Belly wears red versus blue for Conrad and Jeremiah, all the parallels that fans drew from Belly and Susanna, Conrad and Laurel, Jeremiah and Adam, Belly's love for water and how the ocean represents Conrad's all-consuming but unpredictable kind of love versus the safety and familiarity of Jeremiah and a glimmering summer pool. The sheer buzz around particular scenes that book fans were so excited to see play out on screen, like the peach scene and the surfing wound scene. Of course, tons of shows have dedicated, excited fandoms, and they are a big reason why I start to follow a show. Some of my favorites have been Severance with weekly unhinged theories, Succession with some of the sickest fan edits of all time,
Everything I've done.
and maybe Haikyuu for being one of the most wholesome, adoring fans ever. In contrast, the way the Samurai Tone Pretty was talked about online felt kind of wondrous, a little magical, the kind of discussion that may not appeal to everyone, but to those who love to overanalyze every single little interaction, a flicker of eye contact, the slightest link between one scene to another. I found my people among the fans of the Samurai Tone Pretty, and now I'm here reminding myself not to cry because it's over, but to smile because it happened. But at least there's gonna be a movie. Let a girl know what we're shipping next, because I miss it already.